Mass Effect at its core fundamentally breaks spacetime using mass relays and element zero to travel faster than the speed of light. And in the next Mass Effect, I think it's going to take breaking spacetime to the next level, with a plot thread that was first glimpsed when we recruited Tali in Mass Effect 2. This thread continued to weave its way through Mass Effect 3 with, of all people, Conrad Werner, and has even made a major appearance in Mass Effect Andromeda. And now, this thread has popped up again in intriguing concept art for the next Mass Effect, which hints at the next Ingenious leap in Mass Effect spacetime travel. And this mysterious interlinking plot thread throughout all the games is dark energy. Before we get into Mass Effect specifics, let's go over some basics, like what dark energy is. Dark energy is a mysterious force that makes up about 68% of the entire universe, and it's called dark because we can't see or detect it directly, but we know it's there because it pushes galaxies apart and accelerates the universe's expansion. Within Mass Effect, dark energy comes into play for biotics like Jack and Liara, who use it to generate Mass Effect fields, resulting in powers like singularities or biotic waves. But it wasn't until Mass Effect 2 that we first heard the words dark energy uttered by a major character, that character being Tali when we first recruited her on Haestrom. As soon as we landed on Haestrom, we knew something funky was going on, because every time we entered a beam of sunlight, our shields would get fried. And it wasn't until we battled through a bunch of Geth that were desperately trying to get to Tali that we realized why this planet was so scorching hot. Tali revealed to us that Haestrom's star Dolan was prematurely destabilizing into a red giant, causing a searing temperature rise to nearby planets. And as to what caused this to happen in the first place, I'll let Tali explain.
Any idea what's destabilizing the sun?
If I had to guess, I'd say that it was dark energy affecting the interior of the star. The effect is similar to when stars blow off mass to enter a red giant phase. But Haestrom's sun is far too young for this to be natural.
This is a very important deduction by Tali that'll connect to what the next Mass Effect might do with spacetime travel, but I'll tackle that connection in a little bit. Unfortunately, Tali's mention of dark energy was the last time we directly heard dark energy mentioned, because the lead writer of Mass Effect 1 and 2, Drew Karpyshyn, left before the development of Mass Effect 3. In Mass Effect 3's story, dark energy was going to play a major factor with the Reaper's motivations for harvesting all life forms, as Karpyshyn revealed in 2013. He mentioned how he envisioned the Reapers wiping out organics every 50,000 years, because maybe organics kept evolving to the state where they could use biotics and dark energy, and that caused an entropic effect that would hasten the end of the universe. Being immortal beings, that's something the Reapers wouldn't want to see. Instead, the Reapers' motivations centered around harvesting organics who would have been wiped out by artificial intelligence that they themselves created. And of course, the Crucible was the way that the Reapers' harvesting of the Milky Way was eventually put to an end by Commander Shepard. However, even though the dark energy thread appeared to have discontinued, through the Reaper-ending weapon that was the Crucible, we caught another small glimpse. And the only way to have caught that glimpse was if you saved Conrad Werner in Mass Effect 3. We all know the Crucible was the key to ending the Reaper War, and that it was accomplished by unleashing an energy wave with your color of choice. However, something that remains a mystery even today is what exactly this energy wave was made of, and how exactly it affected the Reapers. But what if I told you that of all people, Conrad Werner held the key to figuring out the secret behind the Crucible's mysterious energy? If Conrad survived to reach Mass Effect 3, and if you met a few requirements from Mass Effect 1, you learn that Conrad has a doctoral degree in xenoscience, and he sends Shepard a copy of his dissertation on dark energy when you meet him on the Citadel. Yup, Conrad Werner is an expert on dark energy. Maybe we should have asked Conrad for his autograph instead of the other way around. Conrad's dissertation has two very crucial statements that could explain how the Crucible eliminated the Reaper threat. The first is that dark energy causes a minute but empirically observable difference in the passage of time. And the second, more important point is that it illuminates several instructions left by the Protheans on how to build the Crucible. Now, we don't know this for certain, but I'm going to theorize that the Crucible's energy wave used dark energy to control, synthesize, or destroy the Reapers, because Conrad's dissertation on dark energy was useful in the Crucible's construction. And I believe this not just because of Conrad's dissertation. I think it makes a ton of sense because of the major threat the Andromeda initiative first ran into in the opening scenes of Mass Effect Andromeda. Before Ryder got a chance to drink a single cup of coffee in an entirely new galaxy, Ark Hyperion slammed hull first into an unknown tendril-like cloud, which is later referred to as the Scourge. This mysterious phenomenon does incredible damage to technology and features two properties that might sound very familiar. The first property is that the Scourge has thousands of microscopic and unstable warps in space-time that are constantly erupting. And the second is that it's described as a dark energy cloud or charged absence. Now to me, this sounds incredibly similar to the 2 points I made earlier about how the Crucible might have got rid of the Reapers. The Crucible most likely unleashed a dark energy wave, and it's known that dark energy causes a minute but observable difference in the passage of time. And now, the Scourge is described as a dark energy cloud that erupts in microscopic warps in spacetime. These two similarities, to me, confirm two critical things. The first is that the Crucible most likely dealt with the Reapers using dark energy, which will be very important for something I discuss later on. And the second is that the dark energy plot thread has once again reared its head in Mass Effect Andromeda. This dark energy thread has woven its way through every single Mass Effect game, from Biotics to Dolan's destabilization, to the Crucible, and now with the Scourge. But will this dark energy trend continue into the next Mass Effect? Because of a few very intriguing pieces of concept art illustrated for the next Mass Effect, I'd say 100% yes. To explain why, let's talk about metadata. On N7 Day 2022, the Mass Effect team dropped this bombshell video of a new relay for us to decrypt, which we of course decrypted in a couple hours because we're a very smart and desperate fandom. But something the Mass Effect team didn't anticipate is that we're a little too smart, especially in recovering the metadata from the video clip they innocently provided to us. This metadata held the codename for the next Mass Effect, which Kala eloquently pointed out is Bowie. But what does all this have to do with dark energy's involvement with the next Mass Effect? Well, because we now know that Bowie is the codename for the next game, this concept art made by Marco Iazzi is 100% confirmed to be for the next Mass Effect. Multiple pieces feature the codename M.E. Bowie in the corners, which proves that the breathtaking galaxies and starscapes were developed for the next game. And the reason the dark energy thread will probably continue in the next Mass Effect is because of two concept art pieces in particular. The first being this one, which shows a beautifully crafted twin star. The primary focus of this piece is the twin star, but it's very important to note that Marco added movement towards the star in the periphery. This peripheral movement shows that we're most likely moving towards the twin star, and this is relevant because of the description section that's titled this piece, Diving In and Reaching Twin Star. I believe that the diving in part is because we're rapidly moving towards the twin star, which is a very important distinction to make because of this second concept art piece that I believe directly connects to dark energy. This piece depicts a glowing star. However, when we zoom in on it, we can see something crazy. It looks like there's a starscape within this glowing star. And here's the even crazier part. The description of this piece is diving in, glowing star. And once again, near the periphery of the piece, you can see a depiction of movement into the glowing star. And if that wasn't crazy enough, there's a part 3. Over in this section of the piece, there's a very vague representation of something that I believe is supposed to be a starship. So here's what I think all this craziness means. I think that this art piece implies that a starship is diving into the glowing star that has stars within it. And of course, we can't forget that this is a concept art piece for the next Mass Effect. So, in the next Mass Effect, diving into stars for some reason is going to be a thing in the next game. But of course, diving into stars doesn't make any sense, even in the world of Mass Effect. Or does it? It actually insanely does. And to explain, I'll show you one final piece of art that's once again for the next Mass Effect. This final piece unlocks how dark energy is going to be involved in the next game, and it's directly connected to the previous glowing star piece, except this time, that glowing star is exploding. The title for this one is Glowing Star Explosion, and you can also see stars within this star. So this is all really nuts, but the dark energy thread throughout all the games is actually the perfect explanation for what we're seeing in this mysterious concept art. Here's how. My explanation here is completely theoretical based on all of the analyses I've done for the next Mass Effect so far, so what I'm going to share is in no way a confirmation of what's going to be in the next game. It's just an educated guess. So with that being said, here's how I think dark energy is going to connect with the next Mass Effect's plot. The two questions that instantly sprang to mind when viewing this glowing star were, why would a starship intentionally dive into a star? And why can we see stars inside this one? I think the answer lies in the second glowing star piece that depicts the star exploding, specifically because of what happens to certain stars after they explode. When certain stars reach the end of their life cycle, they violently explode in what's known as a supernova. And after this violent explosion, some of those stars eventually become black holes. So what I think we're seeing in this glowing star before it explodes is a conceptual representation of a traversable black hole that leads to a different part of the universe. In simpler terms, I think this concept art is showing a wormhole that leads from one area of space-time to another, which implies that the next Mass Effect is going to ingeniously break space-time even more than they already have. And here's how this insane form of travel has potentially been set up ever since Tali first told us about dark energy. In Mass Effect 2, Tali told us that dark energy can affect a star by basically speeding up its growth. And in Mass Effect 3, the Crucible theoretically unleashed a massive amount of dark energy that reached every system with a mass relay, thus giving all the stars in those systems an influx of dark energy. Based on what Tali presumed, all of the stars affected by the Crucible blast would then grow unnaturally fast, with some of them exploding in supernovas and forming black holes. Now, everything I just said is completely theoretical. However, in the teaser trailer for the next Mass Effect, we hear a person say anomaly readings all across space.
Anomaly readings all across space. Anomaly readings all across space.
Which to me, after following this dark energy thread all the way to the concept art for the next game, leads to one huge prediction. The anomalies mentioned in the trailer are most likely wormholes as a result of the Crucible's blast, which might be why the Mass Effect team asked for concept art that depicts a starship flying into a glowing star that has stars inside of it. Wormholes via black holes in both the Milky Way and Andromeda would be a very smart way to connect the two locations without the pesky need of 600 years in cryosleep. And one of the more interesting wormholes to mess with would be the inter-universe ones that connect our universe to another parallel universe. If you already watched my trailer breakdown from a couple months ago, you know that I strongly think this inter-universe wormhole is going to be a thing in the next game, especially for Shepard's return, but I won't go into that in depth here. So with breaking space-time being the heart of what Mass Effect is, traversable wormholes might be the major way Mass Effect breaks space-time next. So this is great and all, but a couple potential wormhole concept art pieces doesn't confirm they're actually going to use wormholes in the next game. And there's still two pretty big questions that need answering for how wormhole travel would even be possible in Mass Effect, with the first being, how are we going to dive into these wormholes? And the second, where exactly do these wormholes lead? Well, I think the Mass Effect teams already sneakily provided both of those answers. And to see the full answer for yourself, watch this video next on a full breakdown of the mysterious new relay. See you there.